Hey guys, Matthew and welcome to my 10th episode of my boss gang series. So today we're actually going to be looking at the Enslaver. So again, nothing's changed on the build. 5 link, life and res gear, pretty much the exact same as it's been for the entirety of the showcases. So let's get a quick little recap, as always, on how to acquire these maps. So when it comes to getting them from solo self-found, if you will, you have a 0.5% chance per awakening level when you kill a T14 plus map boss to actually drop either a Shaper or Elder Guardian map. So that's pretty much one of the only way to get them. Otherwise, Xana can sometimes actually offer them to you in her shop. This is actually based on the awakening level, by the way. So if you didn't know that, which means she will only be able to do that when you are at the higher awakening levels. In terms of buying the map itself, you are going to be looking at map is occupied by on the website, and then you have a drop down menu for each of the guardians, and of course you can also go any if you need all of them. And because these are any maps, right, of T14 and above, if you want only T15s or T16s, you can actually put that into the filters under map filters, or of course if you want a specific map, you could also put that in the search as well. So that's essentially how you go about getting these maps. In terms of trying to make as much currency as possible, we are going to be going for Remnants of the Past for the 7.5% chance instead of 4.5 or 7% if you don't have Awakening level 9, and of course Guardian's Aid to get multiple fragments, but also additional chances at unique items from these bosses, and of course also more bases of these influences from the small nodes themselves. If you plan on killing the big bosses, Shaper and Elder, or Uber Elder, Gaze into the Abyss is obviously going to be the way to go. That being said, if you only plan on farming the Guardians, you can skip that and go for Awakening, an extra Awakening level or whatever else instead. Okay, so that's basically our recap. Now let's talk about the Enslaver himself. The Enslaver is the third of the Shaper Guardians, and in my opinion, the Enslaver is actually very, very easy to deal with himself. What typically is really annoying to deal with the Enslaver is the actual arena. So what I have here is the PoE fan guide, and I'm going to be able to showcase what I mean by that, right? It's not so much the Enslaver that's really, really difficult to deal with, or annoying, I should say, to deal with. It's really the arena. There's multiple different arenas. This is one of them where you'll see a bunch of like fireballs literally just coming all over the screen, kind of like similar to the arena for Combs in Act 4, for example. There's also another arena where there's like these big circular things that shoot fire. They're basically like fire throwers, and they spin in circles, and there's a ton of them on the arena, so it makes it very hard to actually navigate. So yeah, the arena, in my opinion, is actually harder than the boss himself. Now, let's look at the attacks that he has. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in onto this so you guys can see a little bit better. He has the basic melee attack, as always. Nothing to write home about there. If you're not within melee range, you should never do that. Next thing he has is a knife toss. So you'll see him throw knives. You can see they're a little bit red. You can see them right there. And then when they hit you, or if they basically get to the end of their trajectory or whatever, then they're going to go either left and fan out or right and fan out. So essentially, you basically just want to walk out of the throw itself, and then when they fan out, they should not hit you because you should be in front of them. All right, next we have the backstep knife toss. So this is basically what he's going to be spamming during the entirety of the fight. These are the knives, by the way. So if you're wondering what knives I'm talking about here, it's actually this that's on the ground, the orange stuff that explodes. Basically, the knives that he throws, they stay on the ground. Of course, they do damage if they hit you on impact, but then afterwards, they also do an extra damage when they blow up, and that is physical and fire damage. So he does this backwards, where he goes backwards and knife tosses. He also does it sideways. It's the exact same thing, but instead it's sideways. Next, which is probably the deadliest of everything in the fight outside of the arena itself, is going to be the knife barrage. So the knife barrage is the exact same thing. He jumped into the air, and it's all those knives that you can see right here. Not the initial explosions that you're seeing, right? Not those. Those are part of the arena, which is why I said again, the arena, in my opinion, is harder than the boss itself. But it's all of those knives right there that you saw explode. So what he does is he jumps into the ground. When you see him jump into the ground, you want to kind of try to get behind him, because when he actually, when he slams the ground, these knives are going to detonate, but there's also an AoE that is going to do damage when he slams the ground. If you're within the AoE, you're also going to take a bunch of damage. And then he has these ad spawns, which are these like tornado little things, and they rush towards you. and then they do damage to you if they hit you, and then eventually when they hit you or a piece of terrain or whatever, they are going to swap into these actual ads that are targetable, because initially they aren't. So that's pretty much all there is to this fight. Let's go ahead and jump into an example here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and clear the map with Freezing Pulse and then swap to my Ice Spear at the end of it. All right, Phantasmagoria. It's a pretty annoying map here. Very, very long map, but we should be able to do this just fine. So this is a pretty squishy build, as I mentioned in a lot of previous videos, but one of your main layer of defense with this build is the fact that you are freezing everything, right? So there's very little times where I'm actually in danger of literally anything, because most of the time everything is just frozen, unable to hit me, unable to move, unable to do anything. So as long as I'm putting my my totems in front of me as I'm clearing the map, it's actually a very good map clear. Or I'd say like definitely pretty decent. Especially for the sort of budget that you can invest into this character, and you know, you're able to literally full clear T16 maps within a minute or two. Very, very fast clear, very, very safe clear as well. Of course, for the bossing themselves, it's not the most single target damage in the world, but it is actually quite good, especially considering the investment, being able to do Uber Elder, the Feared even on a 5-link. I have done the Feared on a 5-link on this build. I wouldn't really recommend it on a 5-link, especially with just life and res gear and stuff that is this bad, but it is doable. I've actually done it. So yeah, of course, I'll have a actual full build guide with my version of this build, which uses the Flame Golem, available when League Start is around the corner. Okay, we've made our way to the boss. Let's go ahead and drop a portal as always and swap over to our Ice Spear, and then we are going to be ready to fight the boss. So I'm going to try to showcase the mechanics of the fight, and yeah, that's going to be just about it. So the first phase, what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to kill the boss. I'm not going to worry about it too much, and then from the second phase on, I'm going to try to showcase the mechanics, and then once he's done a bunch of stuff, we're going to move on. So this arena is the one where I said there's like these little balls that are actually flamethrowers that are going to spin, but this only happens from the, I believe, third phase onwards. The first phase doesn't really do too much. Okay, so we're going to debuff him, put down our stuff, and then pretty much going to phase him in here instantly, or just about. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and look at the different mechanics of this boss. So here's our knife tosses, and then he hits the ground. This does damage, right? The AoE does damage. And of course the knives themselves do damage. Now, one thing is these little fireballs that were following me and then exploding, these guys, right? These are actually part of the arena. They're not part of this boss. It's not him who does it, it's the arena. So again, in my opinion, when it comes to this fight, it really is the arena that is deadly. More so than the boss himself. The boss is very easy to just not have to worry about him. But anyways, so let's go back into this here. Gonna try not get hit by this. So this is the fanning knives. So he throws them at you, and then they fan in one side or another. So again, he does this a lot. This is where he does like the big slam on the ground. Again, some more fanning knives. There it is. There it is. You can see them very well. See, they don't do a lot of damage. Now, of course, they will kill me. They also ignite you, which if you're not immune to ignite or immune to elemental elements, that will probably kill you more so than the hit. The hit itself does very little damage. As you saw, I was able to just face tank those knives for a while. But of course, the ignite is what took me down. Okay, so let's go ahead and look for some more mechanics. This is the big explosions, the big AoE, followed by all the knives, of course. So these little bad boys, they actually do quite a bit of damage. All right, let's see if he can do some... yeah, this was a sideways, right? So he basically jumps backward, throws a bunch of knives. I'm trying to explain these mechanics as I'm showing them. It makes it a little bit hard to actually survive all the hits, because I want you guys to show I want you guys to see the mechanics. But of course... if I'm too close, I'm just going to get hit by all of them, so that's a bit annoying. But here we are again, big slam on the ground alongside the fan of knives. Let's see if he does a side or a back step. That's what I'm trying to showcase here. So there we go. That was a side step where he basically jumps backwards or sideways, and he throws a bunch of knives. So this is again, all right, there we go. We saw it very clearly here. So what I would say in terms of trying to kill this boss as easy as possible, it's really to essentially what I would say is try to stay behind him as much as possible, but not too close, because if you're within melee range, he can actually slam you with that big slam that I was talking about, right? And that will pretty much kill you. Now, this is the part of the arena which I think is super annoying, is these like thingies here. They're untargetable. You can't do anything about them, and they will just throw flames out, and these can actually ignite you. And because they can ignite you, they're actually very, very scary. So yeah, in my opinion, again, this boss, as I mentioned a few times now, the arena is really what makes him harder than the actual boss himself. The boss himself is very easy. I think pretty much all of the Elder Guardian bosses, especially if you're not doing Super Juiced and with Maven, even Super Juiced are pretty easy, but with Maven, of course, a little bit less easy. In terms of map mods to avoid, it's really the same exact thing, but this boss, one additional thing that you might not want to do on top of the, of course, attack and cast speed that I typically don't like to do, and the AoE, the next thing would be +2 projectile, because a lot of his attacks, almost every single one of his attacks, matter of fact, are are projectiles. So if you have +2 projectile, he's going to be throwing, of course, more projectiles at you, which is going to make it harder and harder. That being said, he already throws a bunch of projectiles, right? When he does like the big, when he does this move over here, this move over here, he already throws like, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them or something. So having the additional 2 is not too big of a deal, in my opinion. Really, this boss comes down to killing him very quickly, because then you don't have to deal with the arena at all. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my Enslaver guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. As always, before I go, I want to say a massive thank you to my supporters. So Joseph, Atticus, Don, Brandon, Fruitfly, Reese, Panda, Central Bard, Adderant, welcome back, Neroth, Jacoff, Thomas, Nick, The Great Master, Raymond, Alex, Emil, Tim, Grimoire, Lost with the Map, Flame Scorpion, Nathaniel, Richard, Johnny, Scott, Ronald, Willie, Kevin, Moonkiss, Mercury, Bitterson, and Axel, as well as, of course, anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous, and anybody else who has supported me in the past. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next guide. Peace.